This is a prepaid collect call from. Your call has been accepted.
All praise, Jah King. Most people live in a capitalist society. The governments are capitalists. The economies are capitalist. They function for profit. The idea that their primary function is to protect the general population's welfare is a farce. What the beast is fed does not fill its belly. It stays hungry and becomes hungrier. If the world classes cared about the population's welfare like they say they do, there would be socialists. Instead, they sabotage the success of socialist states by economic terrorism. To survive these attacks, a socialist society must be developed upon a firm foundation, and its population should be aware of the threats. The socialist economy must be supported by a socialist government, and in order to be structurally sound, to continue to withstand the elements that come against it, the socialist government must be based on religious order. Considering the perception, the main argument against a socialist way of life is that some people will take too much. This is a good argument, considering that in the world of capitalism that has existed for hundreds of years, people have become programmed to be takers. Many people feel they have to get what they can when they can get it. Their survival depends on it. Times are already hard enough for the masses. Prices are soaring. People fear going under. If a socialist government were to be installed overnight, some would try to take advantage of it to hoard its benefits. In some ways, you already have that taking place. For example, when it comes to welfare. This concept could be considered a concept of socialism. The idea is to assist those in need. Yet, too many game the system to make a living out of it. This results in the overpopulation of more needy people. So why does the construct have these programs? First, they want to stop any threat of mass unrest. Second, they want people to be dependent on it. The second point is one I would like to explore in more depth. The construct is the beast. It feeds from the blood of those that give it power. The beast can point to its enemies, its threats, and say, here are the bad ones. And those that depend on the beast will gather to protect the monster. As the threats are eliminated, the beast ensures its survival. Eventually, the ones that depend on the beast for survival are powerless, as the beast sucks their blood to deprive them of will. How the capitalist economies of the world maintain power for the world class is they depend on trade using the currency of the beast. As time goes on, this currency retains less value while the demand increases. It is as if you have a fountain in your backyard that becomes more polluted over time. The waste of mankind spoils the waterways, yet because the population grows and water becomes more scarce, the fountain is ever increasing in value. So as the water becomes more impure, the price of it goes up. Think about digital currency. When these currencies came on the scene, they could be purchased with a tiny fraction of the price they are today. What drives the price is the demand, really, the fear that if they are not acquired now, the opportunity will be lost. Others are motivated by speculation or the greed for gain. Some demand is artificial. like when the world-class financial arms drive up the price. Either way, the currency is not and could not be really more valuable than the old-fashioned currency. Take coins, for example. Today, they are made with material that corrodes. The coins of the past were made with actual metals of value. They didn't corrode. This is part of the design to shift people to the beast mark, the final stage of slavery. I'll revisit the fact that in the land called the USA, those referred to as blacks had 15 million acres of land in 1910 compared to 1.5 million acres today. That's 10% of what it used to be about 100 years ago, with a population that's grown substantially. So when slavery was said to be abolished, the idea that the country was on a path of progress for all people is of mythical proportions, at least in the long run. If capitalism was as effective as it is sold to be, would this be the case? And if a capitalist-centered structure of law was effective, why would people feel less safe today than in the past? The key to survival for our people is to live together in unity. This requires an elimination of the kind of cutthroat dealings that the capital agenda seeks to instill in us. This requires sharing with the expectation that all will benefit from this commonality. Some may be quick enough to interject the parable of the talents from Matthew chapter 25. The concept of usury in this parable is symbolic. It says that gifts of God are to be used, and if we use them, we can expect that more will be given. For if you only lend to those when you expect to receive, what separates you from the ungodly? Let us be ever mindful that the beginning of Yahweh was to live as Idren with one another. This is memorialized in the book of Acts, chapter 2, verses 44 through 45, and chapter 4, verses 32 through 35. When Ananias and Sapphira kept back a portion of the proceeds from the sale of their house, they perished. Preceding this came another administration of social order when the Israelites returned from captivity to rebuild Jerusalem, as is recorded in the books of Ezra and Nehemiah. These stories tell of a formative diligence on behalf of our people to accomplish a common goal. They were not driven by greed. They were moved to serve Jah and to realize the hope of unification. The result was harmony rather than an ever-increasing void to satisfy the cravings of lust. Instead, capitalism promotes consumerism, which destroys the planet and leaves desperate people squabbling for scraps. People are competing as to who has the coolest car or who wears the latest fashion. Today they are here, tomorrow they're gone. Chances are we'll not change the way of the world by separating from it. Yet, they are causing their demise, and we don't have to go down with them. The early Israelites envisioned a better reality, a better future. There were sacrifices that had to be made to get there. Usury was forbidden from each other. This is evident in the scriptural books, Exodus chapter 22, verse 25, Leviticus chapter 25, verse 36, and Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 19. Ezekiel spoke against this taking of increase and declared life to those who took not usury. Jeremiah declared his abstinence from such practice. Nehemiah scolded the rulers who had breached this ancient command by exacting usury and in the process seizing the lands of the poverty-stricken Jews. A pledge was made to restore the lands so that everyone and his brother may enjoy the fruits of labor. Otherwise, the people were set to be sold in bondage of the heathen. How can a people survive without the necessities for survival? Short answer is, they don't. They may linger on, but they do not thrive. There remains little hope to overcome this construct of man until they eventually become extinct. The instruction of social order is law and land. The foundation must be built upon with care. Each block is to be laid in balance with the right materials to produce a lasting bond. This can only be done if the layers are applied equitably. There are no double standards or double dealings, as it is common practice in today's world. In a purely social order, no one is truly above Jah law. In other words, an eye man for an eye man. With consideration to land in a social community, there is no private ownership. When Jah Israelites entered in Jah land of eye inheritance, Jah law was already prescribed in Leviticus chapter 25, verse 23. Jah land shall not be sold forever, but Jah land is mine. Definite borders were set not to expand beyond the prescribed territory in Numbers chapter 34. The kind of land grabs we see today in the Middle East are akin to lawlessness, at least in accordance with God's law. Our vision of land is documented in the book of Joshua, chapters 13 through 21. Each tribe was allocated a portion according to the law of equitable eye inheritance, as Numbers chapter 26:54 says, "To many you shall give the more eye inheritance, to few the less." This is not the utopian dream that exists in the delusional state. This is a realistic vision. The potential for peace amongst one another and peace within oneself. Keep in mind that this way is made for eye people and not for those that are not of the eye. That is how Jah Church came to flourish. That is how Jah Israelites survived. To try to adopt the entire world to a socialist way of life is to try to put the pieces in the wrong places. Even if you manage to make them fit, the end product is dysfunctional.
This call will be terminated in 2 minutes.
Yet steps can be made to help the nations of the world today see higher heights. One of these is by forming cooperatives. This may sound not as exciting as the competitive workings of capitalism, but if the result is a higher quality of life for more folks, who could deny its benefits? Still, it may take a separation from these nations for our people to provide a sanctuary for those who are tired of getting less for more. When the Israelites were building a social society, they were warned not to mingle with those surrounding nations. Forsaking this command became their downfall. Yet all those who chose to live within the good order were invited to become one
This call will be terminated in 1 minute.
with Jah people. In this sense, it was not Jah people that defined Jah order. It is the steadfast commitment to serve Jah, and all those that are willing are able. As we continue straight ahead, hear now Jah words of Emperor Haile Selassie in this speech on community development, as recorded on July 7, 1964. The past year has seen an increase in emphasis placed upon the role that community development programs can play in improving the life of the Ethiopian farmer. The fundamental purpose of a community development movement is to teach the rural people of our empire that through cooperative assistance and a united approach to common problems, the vast potential for self-improvement can be translated into programs that can do much to improve the standard of living. While the inauguration of community development programs in Ethiopia is relatively new, much has already been accomplished. A community development training center was inaugurated by us at Awassa for the training of personnel who will subsequently go throughout our empire, disseminating among our people the knowledge they acquired during their training. The cooperative movement has long been known throughout the world, and we ourselves have on numerous occasions urged our people to join increasingly in cooperative enterprises. Cooperatives shall ultimately play a highly important role in the growth of our economy, and no time can be lost in availing ourselves of the benefits to be derived from them. During the past year, we decided upon a program designed to provide specific encouragement to the creation of agricultural cooperatives, and a number of government-sponsored cooperative farms have been established by our Ministry of National Community Development. We have provided land, agricultural machinery, and expert assistance to these farms, and we entertain high hopes that their success will spur our people to embark increasingly upon cooperative endeavors. Should our people fail to avail themselves of this opportunity, the consequences will be regrettable.